As you can hear from my accent, my career started in Ireland. My first job was actually as a programmer in Ireland, and then I went into the aviation industry, and I've been in the aviation industry for over 25 years. And my career in terms of management started at a very young age. of over 20 years of management, and I was very lucky to have the opportunities that a good company, and it was Aer Lingus, the company I started with appropriate career development, career planning, lots of experience on the job in different areas. I worked in probably every area you could imagine in an airline, from engineering, sales and marketing, IT, the operational and planning areas. And that gave me a great foundation to go into senior management roles within the aviation industry. And I came to Australia 16 years ago, and I've been, again, very lucky in terms of my career here. I started work with Ansett. I left Ansett before its collapse. I've been with Qantas now for over 10 years. Had the opportunity to set up Jetstar, which is the low-cost operation here in Australia. And for the last 5 years now, I've been CEO of Qantas. And one of the things I think that's fantastic about Australia is the ability to embrace diversity. You think of no bigger Australian brand than Qantas Airways. It's probably the most recognised Australian brand around the globe, and you have an Irishman running that brand. So we are very proud of the fact that we are a diverse company. We're very proud of the fact, and I'm very proud of the fact, that Australia is a country where merit counts and anybody can become head of a big company like this. Well, I think diversity is a very important thing for any company. It allows you to tap into an unbelievable talent pool. And I think companies that don't embrace diversity are fishing in a smaller pond. They're not taking all the talent that's potentially available to them. We're a very diverse company in Qantas. We have hundreds of different nationalities. I think our people speak 50-odd different languages. We represent Australia generally. We want to embrace all forms of diversity in our company. And I do fundamentally believe at a leadership level and at every level of the company, having a diverse workforce, it makes you plan better, come out with better decisions, drive innovation better, it makes you manage risk better, it makes you implement different strategies better. And you take my leadership team. I couldn't ask for a more diverse leadership team. I've got two Brits, I've got an American, I've got a Kiwi, an Irishman, 3 Australians. I've got 3 women, 2 women running our operational divisions. And I've got people from engineering background, people from accountancy, from mathematics, from finance, from consultancies. And what happens in terms of our leadership strategy development is that you get different ideas coming up, you get different strategies, you get better risk identification. People identify what could go wrong a lot better than having people from all the same background. And that does benefit your business overall, and there's a solid business case. And anybody that's looked at this find that companies that embrace diversity and embrace inclusion, because diversity and inclusion have to go together, are companies that outperform the rest of the market. So for our shareholders, for our customers, for our employees, it's very important that we get this right. And it's one of the reasons why we're so passionate about it. Well, I think, as like a lot of Australian companies, we're going through massive change at the moment. The world is becoming a more volatile place, and any company that's gone through the opportunity to make change in its business operations, what aircraft we operate, what routes we fly, how we do parts of our business, are also taking the opportunity, and we are, of changing our culture to embrace diversity, and particularly gender diversity. We have 41% of our employees overall are female. We want to make sure that female representation is at all levels within the company. My direct reports now, it's 38% are female. We have at the next level below them 31% and 30% at the next level. We've still a way to go to represent the full community within the company. We do know that embracing gender diversity, as I mentioned again before, allows us to have better decision making, better risk identification, better outcomes across the board. We do know that the way to achieve that is complex. It's not easy. If it was easy, I think a lot of companies would be doing it. And there is no silver bullet that fixes it. You have to work on a range of different initiatives in a lot of different areas in order to make it happen. And I'm very proud of what we're achieving in Qantas. I'm very proud that our management and our organisation believe this is immensely important, and a lot of effort and resources are being put into making this one of the top priorities that we have. I think it's there, no matter whether you're male or female. I think there is an unconscious bias, even when you're dealing with the gender diversity issue. And we've just gone, as an example in Qantas, we've just gone through a big training program of putting our top 500 managers through an unconscious bias training. And one thing that I continually hear is people thinking when they go into it, it doesn't apply to me. It's not really a problem for me. Even our female executives. And I think most people are really surprised when the executives come out and the female executives come out and said, I even have an element of unconscious bias I wasn't aware of. So it's very important that, first of all, people do identify it. It's very important that you have the right processes and procedures in place to correct it. And it's very appropriate, I think, on an ongoing basis to keep on monitoring it. And I think a lot of organisations don't spend attention to this, don't think it's an issue. And I think it's probably an issue in nearly every company out there, and it's something that you have to be continually vigilant for and invest in to make sure it's not a problem in your business. I think it's extremely important for your workforce, and I think the first stage of doing this properly is to make sure it's acceptable or seen to be acceptable from the entire organisation that flexible work practices are appropriate and that people should have a work-life balance. We have a lot of our workforce that doesn't work 9 to 5. So it makes it easier, I suppose, in some ways and harder in other ways. But our pilots, our cabin crew, both male and female, have a large role to play in having flexible working conditions to look after family. And for a lot of our employees, family is seen as not a male issue or a female issue, it's for both genders. Also, when it comes to your senior executive team, it's having the flexibility to not have meetings at 7 a.m. in the morning when you've got working mothers that need to actually get their kids to school, and for them not to feel bad about needing to take a day off to be with the kids at home, or for the husbands to be at home with the kids if they need be. And we do manage our meetings, manage our time around giving people the ability to do that, and it not being seen as a black mark on people's performance. I think absolutely not, and I think in this modern day and age, I think companies have changed a lot. We're after people with not only diversity in terms of their backgrounds, but diversity in terms of their experience within the organisation. And that for us, that's extremely important to have a rounded manager. And very recently, we've gone through a couple of changes within our management team that have seen our Chief Information Officer move sideways to be run the planning, the strategic planning for our domestic business. Sideways move, something completely different from what he was doing before. But for him to progress in the organisation, he can't have a technical role as an information technologist. He's at the top of the pile there in Qantas. He needed a branch in the other aspects of airline planning and airline management. And our head of airline planning, she's moved to the United States to be the country manager for the United States. Again, a lateral move, but it's broadening her background and her experience. And we really do encourage that in people's career discussions. We try and plan that out for people and help to make those lateral moves because we know at the end of the day, it gives us a more rounded and more competent management team. I think it's a great question. I think organisations need to embed a lot of this as part of what they do day to day. The analogy I have in Qantas is probably safety. We've been doing safety very well for 90 years. We don't get complacent on it. We have safety meetings, we have safety managers, we talk every month, every day about safety. And we make sure that it's top of people's minds to make sure it's part of our DNA and it's never lost. I think the diversity issue is exactly the same way. You need to, first of all, make sure that your organisation is convinced that this is a good thing, and I think our organisation is. All of our managers, all of our leadership team are part of this, and they all believe that how they do this and how they use diversity is really key. And then the inclusion part of it, I think, is, as I said before, is an extremely important part. We measure everything you can imagine in terms of management's behaviour, how they include people, how they leverage the diversity, how they're seen by the peers, how they're seen by the direct reports, to make sure not only have we got good managers who deliver on their KPIs, but do it with the right behaviours in the right way. And if you have that built into your culture, then the people that are going to be promoted, the people that are going to be the future leaders, are the people that this is part of their DNA. And I think that's the best thing you can do in order to ensure that it's there for forever. I think it's very important, because I think that there's a lot of learnings that different companies can share and men can share with each other. I'm very lucky to be part of the Male Champions of Change, an initiative started by Liz Broderick to look at how males around the major companies in Australia, the major professional firms, and within government organisations can work together and share information about what they're doing. And everybody's approached it in similar ways, but different companies have had different ideas that have worked differently. And we felt that that was very important for that cross-fertilisation of ideas. But even more importantly is for these business leaders in Australia to be out there saying that this is important, that this does make a difference to companies' performances, and to encourage other companies to embrace this. Because we all want a healthy Australian economy. We all want healthy Australian companies. Qantas carries all these businesses around the world. I want them to grow and I want them to be successful. And I know the way they can be successful is to embrace diversity, to embrace inclusion, and to leverage it to improve their businesses. And that's what this group is trying to encourage.